You are listening to Productivity Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after productivity coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives entrepreneurs the straight talk on personal productivity. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to Productivity Straight Talk. Today's episode 120, Sidestepping Distractions Dressed Up as Opportunities. If you're an entrepreneur who wants actionable solutions to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. And if you're new, that means you do not realize that this is we're calling it an encore episode. And if you're a longtime loyal listener, then I know that you can appreciate a good episode. I have been traveling and working behind the scenes on some pretty big, epic projects that will in turn create some amazing opportunities for you. And because I practice what I preach, I am saying no to things so I can say yes to others. And so what that meant was doing a mini series of 4 episodes where I am replaying some older episodes from my backlog of over 100 episodes, because I know that they're still super valuable and relevant to where you're at right now. So that's why I want you to stay tuned. If you're still struggling with distractions, especially those ones that have been dressed up and you see them as opportunities or you've been told they're opportunities, then stay tuned. My goal today is for you to recognize how not all opportunities are what they seem, so that you can stop falling prey to distractions and stay focused on what matters most. In this episode, I'm going to share with you common distractions that are often dressed up as opportunities, how to recognize the difference, tips for managing people's expectations, how your ideas are holding your success hostage, and so much more. Now, before we dive into today's topic, I need to ask you an important question. Are you ready for it? How can I help you? For real, that's the question. How can I help you? This question allows me to not only connect with you more, but create customized free trainings, downloads, podcast episodes, blog content that truly, truly serves you. For me to be able to do that effectively, I need to hear from you. I would insanely appreciate if you would just take less than 5 minutes to answer a few short questions so that I can keep being of service to you. I'm inviting you to head on over to theproductivityspecialist.com/survey. Also, for giving me a bit of your time that I value so much, as a special thank you, I'm going to put your name in a drawing. I'm giving away 2 free 1-hour strategy sessions valued at $497. As my appreciation for your feedback. And so what that means is 2 people get the opportunity to get a one-on-one session with me. During our 45-minute session, we'll dive deep into 1 to 3 specific challenges you're facing in your business. Whether you're struggling with your mindset, managing time, staying organized, processes, systems, leveraging your team, I will strategize with you to overcome whatever roadblocks are preventing your success. You'll get a hybrid of out-of-the-box solutions, training on new skill sets, empowering coaching, and helpful resources. But don't wait. This is one of those things that you very well may want to hit pause to go do right now so you don't forget, because the giveaway entry closes August 30th. So if you give me 5 minutes, I will give you a chance to win a free one-on-one strategy session with me. Now, let's get to the straight talk. Are you overwhelmed with the wealth of opportunities all around you? Do you feel pulled in so many different directions for fear that you're missing out on the opportunity that will change everything for you and your business? Are you tempted to say yes to everything because you think that you should? And what good business owner turns down a good opportunity? Is your business suffering because of FOMO, aka fear of missing out? Well, let me let you in on a little something that I use to drive my decision making on all opportunities. Have you heard of opportunity costs? It's defined as the loss of potential gain from an alternative when one alternative is chosen. In other words, you can't do it all. It's a fact. And so the opportunity cost is that when you're saying yes to something, you ultimately are saying no to something else. And if you're not super discerning with all the things that come your way that look like opportunities, then you're really shutting yourself off from potentially opportunities that serve you well. And so what I'm going to share with you are all the different ways that I know of that opportunities come across our desks in our lives that could be dressed up as opportunities, but in the end are distractions. But here's the deal. I can't tell you what a distraction is, because what may be a distraction for me may be the golden opportunity for you. You see, the way that you need to figure it out or filter whether it's an opportunity or a distraction is to be crystal clear about two things. One is your goal. So my goal in my business is different than your goal in your business. Now, it is an entirely different topic for another episode, but essentially the one goal that makes sense in all businesses is having a financial goal. Again, another topic for another episode. But two, even if you and I had the same exact goal, say it's a financial goal, we are most likely taking two separate journeys or paths, which is what I refer to as your strategic plan. How are you in your business going to make X amount of dollars? And how am I in my business going to make X amount of dollars? This is where when you pull back the curtains of business, every single business looks different on the back end. So you need to be clear about two things to really stay clear of opportunities that are probably not truly opportunities, but rather distractions. And again, that is your goal and your strategic plan on how you're going to achieve that goal. What happens is that when we are not super clear and we are not confident in that strategic plan, opportunities come our way, whether they land in our inbox or someone's talking to us at a luncheon or a friend makes a referral or an introduction. What happens is because we aren't super clear about their strategic plan, we can't determine if that supports our strategic plan or derails us from our strategic plan. So before we move forward, let me be really clear about this as well. There is nothing wrong with having opportunities. In fact, once we know how to determine if they are right for us and our business, they are incredible blessings. The problem I see is that many of my clients don't realize that every opportunity is not created equal. So what do I mean by that? Every opportunity may not have a positive return on your investment of time, energy, and focus. Because ultimately, every opportunity requires both your time and focus of you and or your teams. And let me also be clear about one more thing before we jump into all the ways opportunities come to us. Every opportunity, even if it's not exactly aligned with our strategic plan, doesn't mean that it's necessarily a distraction. But when you're clear about your strategic plan, what you can do is now compare the opportunity to the plan that you're currently executing on. So let's say that you have your strategic plan, but you are not getting the results that you want. You're not making the traction that you anticipated. And perhaps it is time to make a shift in that plan, because we all know that the best laid plans often don't go exactly as planned in our businesses. So when an opportunity comes through to us, then we can ask ourselves, does the opportunity presented look like a better investment of our time and focus than our current path? Because let's be really clear, it's an opportunity cost. You can't say yes to both because now it's a division of time and focus. If you are truly going to make the educated decision that this new opportunity is worth your time and energy, you now actually have the facts to play with that say, here's my current strategic plan, and I'm either going to revise it or I'm going to put it on hold and edit it and bring in this opportunity. So I'm really trying to, verbalize this via the podcast, something that I can see very clearly in my head. So I hope you're following along. I'm kind of seeing like your strategic plan as train tracks. And so you get one train track. And if you're following down your strategic plan and it's not getting you to where you want to go, or you're not getting the results, you have the ability to switch tracks. And switching tracks is choosing another opportunity that you feel is in alignment with getting you towards your goals and vision of success. Here's what I generally see time and time again with my clients. And you may be doing this very thing because many of us do, including myself when I first started out in business. You say yes to everything because this just might be the way. And I get it. You're not really clear on what you actually want to double down on as your strategy or your strategic plan because you're not quite sure what works. So what happens is this could actually break your business because every opportunity ends up being a shiny object vying for your attention. But remember, there are high stakes for each investment. You may have said yes to something that was not a fit and maxed out your limited resources, the resources of you and your teams, which is, as you know, time, energy, and focus. So as a result, I see two things that could happen. First, you may have to say no to the right opportunity because you and your team have simply maxed out your resources on opportunities that are not in alignment with your strategic plan and your goals and vision of success. Or number two is that you say yes when you already know that you are maximized with resources. So this is time, energy, and focus. And then you don't show up the way in which you intended, and you're not of integrity, and you don't truly maximize the opportunity because you can't give it all. And I see this one happening more often than not. I really do often see that business owners and entrepreneurs say yes more often than no when they know that they are maxed out. And this is a true source of being stressed and your business stressing you out and the feeling of being overwhelmed and not having enough time. And I don't want that for you. So next, I'm going to share with you some common opportunities that may be dressed up as distractions, because I think that if we are all clear about what these opportunities are or potential opportunities, when they come to you next, you can be much more discerning and know that you truly have a choice and that you're really weighing the options of saying yes and saying no and thinking of it in the context of what is my time, energy, and focus, that of myself and my team's investment in this opportunity. I also want you to look at it as an investment and an opportunity cost potentially. Is that if you say yes to this, can you also say yes to another potential opportunity? I also want you to think about what is your return on that investment. Anytime an opportunity comes across your desk and you're trying to determine whether you move forward or not, you need to be really, really clear about what your ideal outcomes are. Because if not, you're kind of saying yes and like anything that comes from it is good and that's okay. But I guarantee that's not going to fast track you to your goals and vision of success. So every opportunity, the only way you can weigh if it's a value of your investment, which is time, energy, and focus, and even sometimes money, is if you truly know what the expected outcome is. Okay, so let's dive right into some of the most common opportunities that will be coming your way. Okay, so the first one that comes to mind is the opportunity for joint ventures, which means that someone has asked you to partner with them, to collaborate, maybe serve their audience and they serve your audience, or you go out and you create a new audience based on both of your expertise. And this could look like a wide variety of things, but sometimes it's creating a program, course, project where you both sell it. I think this opportunity comes up more often than you think, and it might not be called joint ventures, but someone reaches out to you and says, hey, I've got this great audience. Would you want to do X, Y, and Z, or vice versa? And I think that the way to find out if this is a right fit for you is, again, going back to, well, what are the expected outcomes? And a few other questions that come up for me is this someone that you truly want to work with? Is it someone that's reliable, who you can trust, and they'll hold up their end of the deal and follow through on the work? Do their strengths complement your weaknesses? Is the audience that you're going after going to ultimately serve as you move forward in your business after this joint venture comes to a conclusion? The next one that comes up for me is new marketing platforms. Yes, that's right. Even new marketing platforms can sometimes be opportunities dressed up as distractions. Does anyone remember the old platform called Blab? Yes, I even fell for it. I got on the old platform, which was group live streaming types of interviews. And as fast as it came, it went away. And I'm saying this cautionary. There's some upsides to trying new platforms. There's upsides to being early adopters. But again, you need to figure out if that's in alignment with you and your goals. For me, I did a top 10 roundup of other productivity experts, specialists, and coaches and have them give their favorite tip. And then, as you know, from the Blab platform, everybody got to vote, and then we had a winner of the top tip. And so it was very collaborative, and it didn't take a ton of work, but what I did do was build relationships with other people in my space. You know, looking back on that, it probably wasn't the best use of my time, but at the time, I thought it was a really good use of my time. So again, everything is in context. And I just share that story with you to be very cautionary of new marketing platforms. Another temptation that I see with a lot of people is, well, because I have a podcast, I hear a lot of people say, oh my gosh, I want to start a podcast, or I'm going to start a podcast, or should I start a podcast? And while this is a phenomenal marketing platform and a way to engage with my audience and serve, you have to ask the big questions. Are you willing to commit for the long haul? Is it truly in alignment with your goals and vision of success? And when I say vision of success is because this method that I've chosen, which is podcasting, has become quite a lifestyle for me. So do you see yourself as being a podcaster in your business? Those are real questions that you have to ask so that when you're making this time investment and taking advantage of potential opportunities, you're really figuring out, based on asking the right questions, if it's in alignment with where you want to go. Next is speaking engagements. So this is another big one that is also close to my heart because early in my business, I literally said yes to every speaking engagement. Now, in that time in my business, that was in alignment with my goals because my goal was to become a better speaker and to get more visibility. And as the old saying goes, you don't know what you don't know. During that journey, I was getting really, really clear about who my ideal audience was. And so because I wasn't clear on that, I found myself saying yes to opportunities that weren't exactly in alignment. You fast forward to today, and I do not speak to audiences that are not completely in alignment with my ideal client. Because it's a huge time investment, it's a huge preparation, traveling, or even if it's on the other side of town, you really need to consider that you're giving them a quarter of your day, if not half of your day, with travel, speaking, preparing, and coming back to your office. So again, you really need to make sure that you're saying yes to the speaking engagements that move you forward towards your goal, which should do one of two things: put money in your pocket or get you in front of the right audience of people that will put money in your pocket. Okay, next is being a guest on a podcast or radio show. So this is very, very similar to speaking engagements. I am also very specific with who I say yes to with regards to being on a podcast. Now, the time investment is much less, right? Like probably an hour being on the actual interview, but you got to think that it's a time investment of my team, going back and forth, scheduling it, finding a topic, prepping it. It's an hour on my schedule that I can't be with a paid client, right? It's an hour on my schedule that I'm not creating content that can bring in a paid client. And so what's really important on this front is to identify if the podcast has listenership of your ideal clients. I say yes to a lot of podcasts. I think I have 6 interviews lined up this month. But again, I've done my homework and my team has done their homework to ensure that they are ideal potential listeners to our podcast here at Productivity Straight Talk, or potentially becoming a client in some way once they hit my world of productivity. Next, when someone asks you for coffee, the inevitable, would you like to have coffee with me? Now, I get this question a lot. And I actually have changed the way that I think about this over time. So I used to say yes to all coffee engagements because, right, it's just coffee and well, I'm going to drink coffee anyways, and this is an opportunity to build a relationship, and who knows where it's going to go. But what happened was because I was early in my business journey, I was clear that the other person generally had an alternative agenda. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but what I mean is they've either identified that I would be a client of theirs or that I could introduce them to someone or something along those lines, which are all good reasons to meet. But because I was a little naive at the beginning, I wasn't really clear if having a coffee meeting was a right fit. As my business has grown up, now I get asked for coffee meetings because, well, I think they might want some free advice. And so this is really a delicate conversation and experience to be in, to be truthfully honest, because you don't want to be mean and you don't want to say, well, I'm sorry, I don't have time to have coffee with you. I do have a few strategies that I can share with you. One is sometimes I'm just completely honest with them and I tell them that I don't have the capacity for an in-person coffee meeting for several weeks and ask if they would like to do a virtual meeting. Usually virtual meetings have a pretty hard start time. I'll also ensure that I might have a meeting that's about 15 minutes later scheduled. So I'm not fibbing, but I'm honestly letting them know, great, I love chatting with you. And if it goes over on time, I subtly let them know I have to prepare for my next call. In a meeting face-to-face, generally they're no less than an hour. And I don't know that that's what we always need for every type of meet and greet or setting. The other thing that I do that I have found to be very, very beneficial is that I definitely let them know that I am currently in the middle of something, whatever that is, a project, and I'm always very truthful. So whatever that is, I'm traveling, my schedule is booked up for the next 2 to 3 weeks. But I would love to schedule something further out. Are you open to that? And then what I do is I schedule an entire morning or an entire afternoon, and I batch all my in-person coffee meetings in town so that they kind of go back to back, maybe every hour, hour and 15 minutes. And then what I do is just anticipate getting some busy work done, checking my emails in between my coffee sessions, but then I can meet them face to face and I'm outside of my office, but I'm not traveling all over town. Because let's be realistic, you have 5 days a week to work, and that's only if you're working 5 days a week. Some of you want to work less. Are you really willing to give up nearly 3 hours for a coffee meeting? So let's say you have to stop what you're doing, get out of your office, travel, maybe that's 30 minutes, go to the coffee meeting, that's an hour, and then stop and then travel and go home and then get back into work. That's easily 2 to 3 hours of interruption within your day. So if you're going to say yes to a coffee meeting, make sure it's worth your investment. Okay, enough rambling about that. But I thought that it was super important because I think that this comes up for a lot of us. Now, before I transition to the next one, these are what I consider cold coffee requests. Like you don't know them at all. I go out for coffee and happy hour and luncheons all the time with my circle of people that I pour into and they pour into me. I have quite a network, I guess, of friends and colleagues and people that I definitely interact with on a regular basis. So I'm not saying be a proponent of being a stay at home or stay in your office and don't get out, kind of methodology. But what I am saying is you have to be very discerning with who you're investing your time with. Okay, next up is networking events. Now, I wrote this list out and I didn't particularly think about all the stories I had for each category, but apparently early in my business, I've probably broken every single one of these. So this is why I can speak to you from experience. When I first started my business, I thought, and I was local and I wasn't online or I wasn't trying to build my, national presence. I was really focused here in Las Vegas. I thought, yes, networking events are the way to go. And so I quickly realized that the networking events, at least here in Las Vegas, and at least the ones that I was selecting at the time, were kind of like meat markets. And they were more about socializing than they were really making business connections. And I wasn't really finding my ideal clients that wanted to talk about productivity over happy hour. So I really quickly realized that there was no way I was going to do networking events, maybe in the more traditional sense. Now, fast forward, and if I go to a conference or an association meeting, or maybe a women's event here, like a luncheon, and I want to network, absolutely, because now those are in alignment with my business, my ideal clients, and who I should be talking to. So again, this is going to be some trial and error, but not all networking is created equal. Next is joining an association. Now, I think that there are a ton of amazing business associations out there, and many of them are very tempting to join. But again, here's the running theme. Not all associations are created equal. Not all associations need your time, energy, and focus. And not joining a particular association may not be a fit for you now in your business, but it could be in the future. Or vice versa, here's a big one. Perhaps it served you super well at one point in your business. And as your business grew up, it no longer serves you in the same way. So you want to make sure that you joining and participating in specific associations are either still in alignment with your goals and vision of success, or as you choose to join additional associations, they're in alignment with your goals and vision of success. And so there are tons of reasons to join associations. There are some high-end trainings. There is some amazing networking, knowledge, connections, relationships, referrals. So you definitely want to think about, what is the main outcome expectation for joining this association? For me, I have found that there are many associations that are really great, but they are very eager for you to serve on a committee, to serve on the board, to serve in various ways. And I think that that's great to serve. I served many years to an association that is very dear to my heart. But at some point, you need to be able to voice your boundaries and know that maybe it's not the best use of your time, or maybe it is the best use of your time. So let me tell you a story on the flip side. When I served on the board of this association that I honestly absolutely changed my business and the trajectory of it, it was because I was serving with people that were pouring into me and I was pouring into them. And I was able to get to know them on a much deeper level than if I had just attended meetings. So again, maybe even if you're already on an association and you're not serving, you may look at serving opportunities so that you're going to gain the goal of building deeper relationships. Okay. So that's all I have for associations at this time. Again, it's up to you to filter whether it is a true opportunity or a distraction. Next is conferences, workshops, programs, and trainings. Now, knowledge is power, But if you keep acquiring more and more knowledge without giving yourself time to reflect on what you've learned and time to take action on it, it is useless. If you want to go deeper on me telling you and letting you know about what certain support is right for you, then I really recommend going back to episode 57. 57, I went into great detail of how to determine which opportunities of conferences and workshops and trainings and coaches and mentors are right for you based on where you're at in your business. Again, that was an in-depth detail of this category of me again explaining that you need to be in the right time of your business to be able to take advantage of the right knowledge, course, and training, because they're not all created equal. And having an investment, both financially, time, energy, and focus into a course that you can't take action on is a huge waste of time and resources. Next up on the opportunity list is apps. Yep, that's right. Those shiny new objects that are just calling your name. No, there's always going to be a trendy new app that's packed full of bold promises. And there's a cost to downloading every app that can possibly serve you. It takes your time and energy to learn its functionality, and in many cases, a hefty monthly payment. I know people who have lost half a day's figuring out how to use the trendy new to-do list and transferring all their tasks to the new list management program, only to realize their problem wasn't their to-do list in the first place. Because you actually have to use the program consistently, and it's less about the program and more about your behavior and habits around using the program. And so bopping around from one app to the next thinking it's going to solve your problems oftentimes is not the case. Next up is living on social media. This is most definitely a popular method that works for a ton of people. And in this day and age, I think that almost nearly every business needs to have a presence on social media. But what I have found is that clients are spending an enormous amount of time on social media. And so I want you to make sure that the decision about how much time that you and your team put into social media is data-driven. For example, if you spend an hour on social media every day for 6 months, and later you look at the data and you find, by the way, don't wait 6 months, but later you look at the data and you find out that you've only picked up 1 or 2 clients, then you might need to reanalyze your strategic plan and either revamp your social media strategy or cut back on the time and invest that elsewhere where you will find more clients that will put money in your pocket. Next is emails, texts, and phone calls. Yep. Every email, text, or phone call could seem like the next big opportunity. An opportunity to gain another client, a speaking opportunity, a business opportunity. The problem is, if you react to all the chimes, rings, and dings that you hear, you're not able to stay focused on whatever you're currently working on. Only process your emails, text messages, and phone calls during scheduled breaks or blocks of time. Otherwise, they are almost always most certainly a distraction. Think that might be horrible customer service? And you're like, Amber, you don't know my business. Amber, you don't understand. I have to be on my phone. I have to answer it all the time. Okay. Well, then hire someone else to answer your phone if you have the fear that you will get passed over for a great opportunity if they don't get an answer right away. Because it's true, there are a lot of industries that if you do not answer your phone, they are on to the next one. That is a problem for an opportunity to solve, which would be to hire somebody. That is a great way to find leverage so that they get filtered and you only need to deal with the conversations, text messages, phone calls, emails that absolutely need your attention, and you can invest your time in your highest value activity. Thinking that it has to be this way because it's always been this way is really limited thinking. Pretty much, if I had a client tell me this, they're going to tell me, yeah, no, this is just the way it needs to be. I am not going to do anything about it to make sure that I can invest in my highest value activities. Okay, so don't let that be you. Find a solution. I understand that each industry is different, but it doesn't always have to be you. But what does have to be you is you investing in your highly leverageable, high-value activities that are not delegatable, that no one else can do. And if you find yourself not having enough time or focus to do those things because of all the chimes, rings, and dings, then find a solution. Another option to improve customer service is to manage expectations everywhere you can. And one way to do that is by saying something on your voicemail like reframing the expectations and telling them when you intend on getting back to them. Oftentimes, it could say something like, I return my messages several times a day. You can expect to hear from me at noon and at 4 every day. Or you can say something like, all voicemails left after 7 p.m. will be returned tomorrow morning. Here's the deal. You can say anything you want that fits your business, how you want to serve your clients. But when you set these expectations and reframe what is expected, most often everybody's okay with that. And it often reframes it for yourself, because if you are assuming that when an email comes in, you have to respond immediately, or when a phone call comes in, you have to respond immediately, that may be an untrue assumption on your behalf. So setting that up and setting yourself up for success is the best way of communicating that. And then the only way it works is if you follow through to your word and actually return your call at the times that you say you will. This can also be done for emails. I received this awesome auto reply from somebody that I had emailed, letting me know when the email can be expected to be returned. But in the meantime, listed off multiple main reasons people are emailing her and who to actually reach out to on her team, and or what form to fill out on their website and what the process is. It was very, very clear about how me, the customer, can get my question or my need fulfilled by someone other than the person that I was reaching out to. And I thought it was a very, very awesome efficiency hack to make sure that you're pointing people to the right people on your team that can really answer their questions, and that it doesn't always have to be you that's responding to every email. Okay, so lastly is ideas. So here's the deal. I am left the best for last because as entrepreneurs, ideas are almost synonymous with entrepreneurship, right? Like we all have so many ideas that we think are 100% great, and they're going to be the next way you're going to make money or have a breakthrough or reach your goals. And in fact, majority of entrepreneurs have far, far more ideas than they could ever possibly execute on in a lifetime. So how do you make your ideas work for you? I need to say this with a caveat, is that I have dealt with this issue with numerous clients, and we've navigated through this with some solutions. So I'm going to give you some of those options. But before I do, I need to let you know that by my own personality, I would never say that I am like someone with a ton of ideas. I probably have less ideas than most entrepreneurs, but I used to think that that was a negative. I thought that that was going to actually hold me back in entrepreneurship. But what I have found is that it actually has let me focus and take action and execute on the ideas that I have. And it was a lot easier process for me to filter each idea to determine what gets my time and energy. Which brings me to my first recommendation on your ideas. I think that one thing is that you need to have one place that you hold all your ideas, whether it be a notebook, a folder on your desktop, your computer, in your email system. Like you need to find your flow, and maybe it's Evernote or OneNote or one of the various ways to keep notes, but you need to find your flow and the method in which you can organize all of your ideas. Then once you have them organized and a place to hold them, one thing happens very, very quickly, that you know you can go back to them and execute on them at a later time because you know that they can be found. Oftentimes, people execute on ideas almost instantly because they're not sure when they're going to circle back to that or when they're going to have time to do it. And I think that something that's really important here is that A lot of ideas are definitely a value in your business and definitely an asset. But you need to have a way to filter those ideas and then execute on the ones that will give you the biggest return on your investment. I have a client that I'm working with right now that has notebooks and notebooks full of ideas and really random pieces of paper, emails to himself, like they're everywhere. So the first thing we did was find a way in which he could feel very comfortable to let the ideas flow through him and capture them, but not have a need to actually take action on them right now. And then what we did was create a process for him to vet his own ideas because he's got a large team. He has, I think it depends, the season, but he has between 15 and 20 employees. And so when he's getting an idea executed on, he really has to rally the troops, like his entire team around this idea and ensure that it's the best resource for not just the business, but the investment of everybody in the business or anyone that needs to be involved. So what we did was we created his own procedures and processes that he is first to capture the idea and then literally sit on it for 1 to 2 weeks and then visit it again during his CEO date with himself. And so the first vetting is if he relooks at the idea and it still seems like a good idea, then it goes to phase 2. But oftentimes a large portion of ideas don't exactly look as great after you've had some breathing time and time to sleep on it, which is really good because he didn't lose any time or energy or focus of him or himself on an idea that he actually may have not wanted to take action on. But then once he has vetted the ones that do meet the first vetting process, now he created his own sort of board of directors. And so the first thing he's doing is tasking his assistant with researching what's the validity of the project, what is the potential income, what is the resources that are going to be expected and needed from the company to move forward on these ideas. And so once this sort of report and feedback comes to him, he'll then decide if he wants to pursue it or not. And if he wants to pursue it, then he's going to go to his self-selected board of directors, which is his general manager and his wife and his executive assistant, and then myself and his 2 coaches. So he has 3 coaches total for different areas of his business. And he'll bring those to his quarterly strategy session and present those to us to say, this is what I would like to do. This is how I want to move forward. Now, of course, he's a larger company and a larger business. And what that means is that there's a higher stakes, right, at maybe investing in the wrong idea. So he really wants to make sure that the ideas are vetted properly and have a high success rate. And this was really just coaching back and forth to determine what he felt comfortable with to really move a decision forward on an idea. So I am encouraging you to create some sort of own framework around that. Like, what do you need as breathing room after you've had an idea before you take action on it? Do you need to take it to your coach or a mentor and kind of get it out of you and verbalize it? Because just the sheer act of presenting the idea to someone else, what it's going to do is force you to articulate what are the resources, what is the potential return on those resources, and how do you expect to move forward with this project? So those hit on all things, right? Like those hit on everything that I've been talking to you about all of these different opportunities that may be dressed up as distractions. Is truly, you need to figure out what your own vetting process is, and that needs to be in alignment with achieving your goals. So being clear about your goals and also being clear about the strategy that you're executing on to reach those goals. Opportunities can be just that, opportunities. But they can also be distractions dressed up to look like opportunities when they're really just steering you off track from your goals. Distractions steal your time, focus, energy, and even sometimes money. Fail to sidestep such distractions, and you're embarking on a much more circuitous path to success, rather than the fast track that you should be on towards your goals and visions of success. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Productivity Straight Talk. I have loved having you listen, but I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So based on what you learned today, what will you take action on? Is there an aha or a strategy or something that you can tangibly, literally make a decision on right now that you are committed to doing as a result of your investment of time into today's episode? I know that you have so much to go back to, and you may be pulling up to the grocery store or dropping the kids off or picking the kids up or driving into the office. But I'm challenging you to take a moment of silence. No, I'm challenging myself to give you a moment of silence so that you can clearly think about what is your next action step. All right, I hope you got that down. As a reminder, I need your help. Yes, you. It's just you and me here. I want you to know that I'm jumping in your earbuds today asking for help. I would insanely appreciate it if you would take less than 5 minutes to answer a few short questions so that I can not only connect with you more deeply, but also offer customized free trainings, downloads, podcast episodes, and blog content that truly, truly serves you. So go to theproductivityspecialist.com/survey. And as a reminder, I'm going to be putting your name in a drawing, and 2 people are going to be winning a one-on-one strategy session with me. So don't wait. The giveaway entry closes August 30th. Give me 5 minutes and I will give you a chance to win that strategy session. As we close out, I have a special thank you going to Katie Cross, who recently said, I look forward to listening to this podcast all the time. I find actionable steps and things that I can always shift my view on my business. So grateful for Amber and all she does. Thank you so much, Katie, for sharing that over on iTunes as a rating and review. That always, always helps the show grow. It helps others get a real good idea of what to expect here at the Productivity Straight Talk podcast. So Katie, thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's my Straight Talk for you today. And until next time, have a productive week.